Jackson. Hey everybody, welcome to LCJ Live. It's Sunday, February 16, 2025. We're already more than halfway through the month of February, and my goodness, is award season heating up and the box office heating up thanks to Captain America. $88.5 million for Captain America Brave New World for the 3-day and the 4-day. Looks like it will be $100 million. I think Disney and Marvel will take it. Fly, Eagles, fly. I was in Philadelphia on Friday for the Eagles parade, the rally, the celebrations. It was epic. I'll get into that. Talk about Captain America. Talk about Paddington and how I was sort of right when it came to the box office for that this weekend and more. Coming up on LCJ Live, the BAFTA Awards happening right now. The red carpet's been going on. I don't know if the show is starting at this exact moment. It might be. We might get some live winners here while we're doing LCJ Live. I've got the ballot here. I'll give you some thoughts on that and more. We'll talk about the movies that open this week, several of which I've already seen, but I'm embargoed on sharing opinions, but I'll share as much as I can, and more, as we're just 2 weeks away from the Oscars. And on this President's Day weekend, Captain America Brave New World tops the box office, $88.5 million for the 3-day. $100 million is the Disney estimate currently for the money it's going to make through tomorrow night. If you're watching here on YouTube Live, thank you. Send in your questions and your comments. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. Now, I got this from McDonald's last May when the movie was originally supposed to open and they couldn't push the toys back. I got Sam Wilson right here. Pretty cool. They had the Red Hulk as well, which kind of spoiled things and then allowed Red Hulk to be dominant in the marketing, even though if you've seen the movie, Red Hulk does not show up for quite some time. I like the film. It's not amazing, but compared to so many of the MCU movies recently, it is not arrogant, it is grounded, it has a solid story, it's a solid experience. I enjoyed the action scenes. I enjoyed the scenes between Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford. There's one in particular, kind of 2/3-ish of the way through the movie, where Harrison Ford reveals something to Anthony Mackie. And it just shows you why Harrison Ford is still one of our great actors. When you look at what he's done from 2010 to now, you talk about Morning Glory, Extraordinary Measures, The Age of Adeline, 42, this film, several other projects, the television projects he's worked on from 1923 to Shrinking. Harrison Ford still has it. I mean, so many people talk about Star Wars and the old Indiana Jones films and Witness from the 70s and 80s, Blade Runner. Look at Blade Runner 2049. He was so good in that. Harrison Ford still got it. And he delivers here in Captain America. So does Anthony Mackie. It's a film I enjoyed. I enjoyed the experience of it compared to so many of these other Marvel movies lately where you're just rolling your eyes through the whole thing going, oh my God, this is so silly. This is so dumb. This is so ridiculous and unfunny. Now, there are silly aspects to the plot. There's a certain mind control aspect of this movie that is not very good, but it's kind of in line with a lot of what the MCU has done over the years. But, I had a decent time. I think you're 35 movies into the MCU now. Not every single one of them needs to be the most epic, the greatest, the craziest, movie of all time. And also, if you're directly comparing to Winter Soldier 2014, which I love, this isn't as strong of a political thriller as that, but that's okay. Not all of these movies need to be consistently epic. And also, Anthony Mackie does a fine job with this character. It's a different character than Steve Rogers. So making those direct comparisons. Also saying, oh, it has the feel of a TV show just because there was the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show is a cheap shot. You don't need to say that. Just look at it for what it is. TV and movies blend so much into each other these last 5, 6, 7 years. You get what you get. Look at it for what it is. Yes, you can compare it to some of the other Marvel movies like I have as far as this is a better time, but also as a standalone film, it's a solid 2-hour experience. It's not longer than it needs to be. It drags a little in the middle, but the action delivers, the performances deliver, the story is interesting enough. It's not unbelievably enthralling and not everything is perfect, but for what it is, it's not bad at all. Pete Crooks says Ford's best ever was Witness. That's the film he got an Oscar nomination for. Harrison Ford has been an Oscar nominee for 40 years. man, maybe should get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Look at all the other performances. Like I said, from 2010 to now, if you haven't seen Age of Adeline, watch Age of Adeline. Morning Glory, 42. He should have been nominated for 42 for supporting actor. What a great film. So there you go. Captain America, 88.5 million. In second this weekend is Paddington in Peru. Now, I told you this wasn't going to hit $20 million, and it only made 13. I said, I went to the screening. There were 20 people there, just like Paddington 2, 7 years earlier, which only made 11 million. It was the opening weekend, a 4-day of 15, and a total of 40. Paddington in Peru this weekend with the 3-day of 13 million. Sony's currently estimating 16 million for the 4-day. So that's only $1 million ahead of Paddington 2. So arguably, it's just Paddington 2 adjusted for inflation. After I saw the movie and saw the lack of the crowd, I told you this is not going to do 20 million plus. And here we are at 13. Again, a little better than Paddington 2, but it's arguably the same lowish crowd 7 years later. So with that, I say maybe it only does 45, 50 million total. Dogman was serious competition for Paddington this weekend. Dogman in fourth with another 9.7 million. It's at 66.8. And so as kids are out of school this whole week for the President's Week, you're going to see both Dogman and Paddington in Peru do pretty well, but that audience is going to be split. And I think because Sony decided to move Paddington to February 14 instead of January 17, so it didn't face all the leftover family films from the holidays, that allowed Sony to put one of them days out on Jan 17. That's still doing well. Hard Eyes was able to open on February 7. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Paddington in Peru for Feb 14. Yes, it's going to get kids out of school, but is it going to make a lot more than Paddington 2? We'll have to see. Pete Crooks says he could have been nominated for Working Girl as well. There you go, another film. So Paddington's at 13. It's done 100 million plus overseas. They're going to make a fourth. Maybe it's Paddington in America or Paddington Goes Hollywood. I think we're at that point. Maybe Hugh Grant really comes back for that one if it's about acting and he goes to America with him. I also think there could be a relationship for Paddington. Maybe there's a romance, a female bear for Paddington when he comes to America working on a movie. These are my thoughts. Sony, if you're watching, and Studio Canal, it's got to be Paddington Goes Hollywood. That's got to be the fourth film. So we'll see if that happens. But look at Heart Eyes this weekend. Wow, added 10 million because it had a huge Valentine's Day. The winner of Valentine's Day was Hard Eyes with $4.9 million. Now, yes, Captain America made more money, but when you're talking about a leftover film and what young couples wanted to see on Valentine's Day, it wasn't Companion and it wasn't really Love Hurts. It was Hard Eyes, 4.9 just on Friday, and a $10 million weekend that's bigger than last weekend. It's up to $21.5 million. Now, Love Hurts did add $2 million on Valentine's Day, $4.4 million this weekend in sixth. Not a huge drop for that film. It's up to $12.3 million total. Again, not a lot of money for Universal. But Companion, wow. Warner Brothers took it out of theaters, and not a lot of people were able to see it on Valentine's Day weekend. Companion in ninth this weekend, just $1.9 million. It's at 18.8. Warner Brothers took it out of like 2,000 theaters, allowing Hard Eyes and Sony to easily dominate it, 4.9 million to just 770,000 on Valentine's Day. Let's see, other movies this weekend. How about this? Chinese animated film called Ninja 2, $7.3 million. A lot of them in premium format screens, IMAX. That's a big open for a movie that's made $1 billion worldwide, overseas especially. Wow. $1 billion. And we're at 7.3 so far here in North America for Ninja 2. But look, even with Paddington and even with Dogman, Mufasa still made $4.2 million this weekend. Wow. It's up to $240.8 million for Disney. Number 8 this weekend, as I mentioned, one of them days from Sony, still making money, $3 million. It's at 43.5. And rounding out your top 10 this weekend, Becoming Led Zeppelin, which I still have to check out. It added $1.7 million in a wide release expansion. It's up to $5.4 million for Sony Classics. Flight Risk, just outside the top 10, added $1.6 million. It's at about $27.5 million for Lionsgate. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Moana 2, close to $1 million each for them this weekend. And A Complete Unknown, a little over $1 million. It's about to become like the fifth biggest or the fourth biggest Searchlight movie ever. It's going to pass Sideways, a complete unknown, knocking on the door of $71 million. The Oscar-nominated short films also opened this weekend. We don't have the money yet on that, but I do recommend you see the animated shorts in theaters. It's a great group, and all my Q&As with the directors are at animationscoop.com. If you're just joining us here on LCJ Live, Fly, Eagles, Fly. I was there in Philadelphia on Friday at the parade and the rally. It was epic. I saw the Lombardi Trophy. I saw some of the players. I saw Swoop and the cheerleaders and the buses and the fans. There were more than 1 million people. There could have been 2 or 3 million people there. It was unbelievable, the number of people in Philadelphia. I had a great time. Fly, Eagles, Fly. Super Bowl champions. And that's where I got this. 2-time Super Bowl champions. This week's movies include Old Guy with Christoph Waltz. I've seen it. I'll have my thoughts on that on Wednesday. Ex-Husbands with Griffin Dunn. I've seen that. You'll get my thoughts on that tomorrow. The Unbreakable Boy with Zachary Levi. I've seen it. You'll get my thoughts on that on Thursday. That's when all the embargoes lift. And then The Monkey also opens this week. I didn't see it. There were early screenings Wednesday, but I had other films to screen. And I may check out The Monkey this week. We'll have to see. Also this week is Parthenope, maybe going wide. We'll see. Paolo Sorrentino's film. I hope it's good. I've heard mixed things, so my fingers are crossed. But a movie I have seen that I can share is a film I saw July 1, 2021. The Comeback Trail. It finally opens in select theaters in the United States and is on VOD this Friday. Tommy Lee Jones, Morgan Freeman, Robert De Niro, directed by Zach Braff. When I screened the movie so long ago, I remember not loving it, but you know what? With these stars and with this story, how it's finally out after over 3.5 years, if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. The Comeback Trail. It's in select theaters on VOD starting Friday. It's amazing. I never thought this movie was going to be released. I have a poster of it that I got to bring out because I picked it up at a drive-in theaters, get posters sometimes of movies they're not even going to show because of the time of year. And one of the drive-ins near me had it, so I grabbed it. I never thought this movie was ever going to get released, and it finally is. So epic. Finally getting released for the Comeback Trail this weekend. Is Harrison Ford in the film much, says Dish Boy Podcast about Captain America. Yes, he is. He is in the film quite a bit. So if you're a Harrison Ford fan, this is a legitimate role for him as Thaddeus Ross. Pete Crooks, do you pay any attention to the Razzies? I went to the Razzies once. I voted on the Razzies once. It was the year of The Last Airbender. There were actually a lot of films that were worse than The Last Airbender that year, but it just dominated the Razzies that year. I don't believe I ever voted again. I have not attended ever again. Some of their choices were right this year. Some of them were not. You know, you see the headlines, but I truly don't think it has had quite the impact that it used to around the time when I was paying attention to them. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, that was kind of the modern height of the Razzie Awards. I want to mention Tim Gunn. I can't believe he's not joining Heidi Klum on the new revival of Project Runway. It's a terrible decision by Disney, and I hope they reconsider putting him on with Heidi. For the revival of Project Runway, they are an iconic duo, Emmy-winning duo, all those years on Project Runway, 3 years of making the cut, fantastic show on Amazon, and now Disney's like, yeah, we're going to split them up, and they only talked about wanting Tim for a brief cameo in one episode. How ridiculous is that? I believe in loyalty, and I think Tim Gunn should be on the Project Runway revival. Tuesday, get my interview with the makers of Night of the Zoopocalypse, new animated film opening March 7. My Q&A and LCJ Q&A podcast episode with the directors, animationscoop.com and lcj.podbean.com on Tuesday. And coming soon to toofast2films.com, Mike Sargent and I review Captain America and The Gorge. The Razzie seems mean-spirited, says Pete. That said, Reagan deserves a sweep. I disagree. I think Reagan is an excellent film. The second half is better than the first half, but Dennis Quaid put a lot of care into that performance. Penelope Ann Miller, I think, is great as Nancy Reagan, and there is some genuine emotion. You know, if you're emotionally invested in it, you care about what's happening, you feel the emotional power. I was moved by some of Reagan. Again, first half, okay, not great. Second half, once he takes office, and it just goes, and it's really engaging, and it's genuinely dramatic. There are going to be some people who say, "Nah, this is corny, it's cheesy." But if you're a Dennis Quaid fan, between this and The Substance, he had a great year. That performance in The Substance is excellent, and I'm glad that Coralie Farge mentioned him in her Critics' Choice speech because he is a key component of The Substance, and I think in some years, maybe in a non-election year that it was, you could have seen Dennis Quaid get in some more Best Supporting Actor conversations because that's a key character, and he's not in it a lot, but he's really good and delivers what he has to do for the character motivations of everyone else. Margaret Qualley and Demi Moore. Dennis Quaid had a good year with those two films. All right, now we're gonna take a look at the BAFTAs, and I'm gonna see here as we have a couple minutes if any winners have come in yet. The best film nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, and Amiga Perez. Wicked did not get in this Best Picture group from the BAFTAs. And then in Best Director, you have Coralie Farge for The Substance, also not in Best Film. Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, also not in Best Film. But then Jacques Audiard, Sean Baker, Edward Berger, and Brady Corbet. So Anora's been doing well these last couple weeks. Critics' Choice, DGA, PGA, and last night at the Writers Guild of America Awards, where Nickel Boys also won. So Anora seems to be the current frontrunner, and we'll find out in a few hours if it takes Best Film at the BAFTAs. I'm just looking right now. Maybe the carpet is still going because I'm still seeing some interviews. The show may not have started quite yet. I wish it was on TV again. I liked when it was on BBC America. You know, I would stay off of social media all day. I did this for years and waited until the show was on at night. You know, that's how I was surprised. Like when Anthony Hopkins beat Chadwick Boseman that year, and I was genuinely surprised by that because I didn't know in advance off of social media, or some of these other wins. You know, I stayed off of social media. I wish it was back on BBC America. It's too bad. I'll have to just get the live stream updates from social media throughout the rest of the day. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's started yet. Bridget Jones, the new Bridget Jones film, did very well overseas this weekend. $35 million. I believe 14 of that from the UK. Just a Peacock release here in North America. I did not see it. I thought the first film was so bad that I don't even think I'm going to bother with this new Bridget Jones. Hollywood Reporter's got a live BAFTA winners page, but like I said, nothing yet. So I think in a little while we'll start getting some winners from the BAFTA awards. Interesting fact about the BAFTAs, Wallace and Gromit has never lost in any way, shape, or form at the BAFTAs. It's always gotten something. And it's in several categories. Vengeance Most Foul today. Animated film, British film, and something else. I can't remember. I think it's up for 3 awards. But we'll see. Could Wallace and Gromit win over The Wild Robot for animated film, or will they give it something else, or will it get shut out today? That's a little interesting tidbit, as we're just 2 weeks away from the Academy Awards, Sunday, March 2nd. Next Sunday, when we're here for LCJ Live at noon Eastern, it's SAG Awards Day. We'll preview the SAG Awards, predict the winners. We'll see, based off of the BAFTA winners, what happens. And this Saturday is the Independent Spirit Awards. We'll see what does well there. Plus, we'll take a look at the box office. I think Captain America will be #1 again. How high will the monkey go? It depends. The money from Wednesday will be counted in it. So, could do 20 million. Maybe that's a little high. I don't know. We'll see. But if you want more, as always, go to Twitter X at LCJ Reviews, Instagram at LightsCamJackson. The website is lights-camera-jackson.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We go live every Sunday at noon Eastern. Yeah, BBC America is the way. Absolutely. I watch Graham Norton all the time on BBC America. Robbie asks, what do you think other critics saw in Anora? What do I think other critics saw in Anora? I don't know. Somehow they saw a good film, and not a film that dragged considerably when we went to the living room scene, which took about, 45 minutes? It went on forever. And then we just go to all these restaurants. Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? That's all the scenes were for like another hour. I mean, it just went on, and not much happened and the arc was so predictable. That's the one problem I have with The Substance. The Substance is the kind of movie where if I loved it, I probably could have given it an A. But the thing that held me back about The Substance is that the main arc of it, I saw coming. I also saw, what was going to happen in Anora too. But The Substance has great performances and style, and does get a little crazy in that final act. But because that arc is so A to B, B to C, even with all that in the middle, that prevented me from completely loving The Substance. But Anora is, gosh, not much happens. That was my main problem with it, and all the scenes were just unpleasant and went on forever. And for that to win a writing award or a directing award, I think is crazy. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see if it wins today and wins Best Picture in just 2 weeks at the Academy Awards. We'll be back next Sunday. We'll do box office, SAG Awards predictions, analysis, and more things ahead of the Academy Awards, ahead of the SAG Awards. And I am not officially making my Oscar predictions until these SAG Awards winners are announced. Because if Wicked wins SAG Ensemble, not everybody is going to pick Anora to win Best Picture at the Oscars. So we'll see what happens. Keep it to LCJ Live for more. Fly, Eagles, fly. Good luck to all the BAFTA nominees and winners today. And I'll see you next time for LCJ Live. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Keep it to all the LCJ social medias for all my reviews of these movies coming out this week, interviews, and more. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.